Joined on the line by Tom Ellis to look ahead to the season 4 premiere of Lucifer on Netflix in Ireland, here in Ireland and the UK on May the 8th. And I suppose, Tom, just before we start and we talk about season 4, for many of our audience tuning in, mightn't have seen Lucifer before the first 3 seasons. Can you give us a quick sort of info or a bit of a backstory there, just what Lucifer is about?
A quick read. So basically, the story centers around Lucifer Morningstar, who is indeed the devil. And he decided that he was bored of running hell, so he decided to go on a vacation to Los Angeles, where he spent about 5 years messing around, and then a friend of his gets murdered, and he decides the police aren't doing enough, so he decides to investigate himself, and then his path is crossed with the police detective, who he becomes enchanted by, and for some reason he's the only person, when he's in her presence, that makes him vulnerable, and he bleeds, and he's no longer immortal. So they have this kind of kinship, and that plays out over a number of seasons with lots of other characters, and lots of fun, and lots of darkness.
Yeah, and I suppose, Tom, you're moving here from Lucifer was shown here in the Fox UK, here in Fox in UK and Ireland, and you're moving to Netflix, and season 4 is coming about there, and your own character Lucifer Morningstar, he's gone through a sort of different array of emotions through the first 3 seasons, and what's the path for Lucifer in season 4? Where does he start out, and where does he hopefully finish come the end of the season?
Well, the end of season 3 was a really big moment for the whole show. I mean, it was basically the first time that the detective ever truly saw Lucifer's devil face. And season 4 is basically about how our characters respond to that moment, really. For Lucifer, we learn that the detective disappears soon after that, and he doesn't hear from her, and he's not sure if she'll ever come back. And then when she does eventually come back, he is desperate to prove himself to her that he's not just the devil that she now knows he is and who she thinks that is. So his kind of his want is for her to not fear him, and that sort of plays out until he realizes that she may have done the worst thing ever and betrayed him. And then at lowest there, Eve of Adam and Eve comes into our story, and she is Lucifer's first, and she's willing to accept Lucifer for everything that he is, and encourage the monster inside of Lucifer, the devil inside of him, to come back out. And so there's this kind of Jekyll and Hyde element to the season, where Lucifer's trying to be one thing that he can't get away from, the monster that he truly is, or he believes himself to be.
Tom, Lucifer has been a smash hit globally, not only in the States but all over the world, not only in Ireland and UK but worldwide. And about the show Lucifer, when you were back, when your first opportunity came about, or an agent came about and brought this script to your table, what enticed you, or how did it come about that you were cast in the role of Lucifer?
Well, I've been working in the States for a few years. You know, they have a system over here where the networks, every year, they have a thing called pilot season. So all the networks, they cast and commission a lot of pilot episodes of potential series. And then at the end of that process, there's a massive cull, and then they put on, 5 or 6 new shows that they've done in pilot form. So there's always a lot of scripts flying about at that moment in time. And, I was in a position where I was, going into rooms with I'd just been a lead on a show over here, so I was in a better position, basically, to expect to get a job. So I was being sent things, and all of them seemed very similar to each other. And then I opened the script for Lucifer, expecting the worst, I think, because of the title, I was just like, oh, here we go. And within about 3 pages, I just laughed out loud several times. And I just loved the character, and I thought, of all the sort of long-running TV shows that I've loved over the years, if they're going to have any sort of, if they're going to succeed at all, they need to have a great character at the centre of it. And I just thought this character was fantastic, the way it's written, and the potential places we could go with it. And I really responded to it. So thankfully, Len Wiseman, who was directing it, had similar feelings about how I felt about it and how he felt about me playing that part. And that was it, really. It took off from there.
Yeah, and I suppose, Tom, can you give us a detail about the production week on set on Lucifer, from the time you get the table read, say, of a Monday to the first sort of read-through, and maybe do you do an awful lot of block shooting or single shooting, and before all that episode goes live, how long does it take, for example, to film one episode of Lucifer?
Well, one episode of Lucifer takes roughly eight and a half days. And so, but we film one straight after the other. So once we get into filming, it's pretty relentless. I mean, now we're on Netflix. It was only 10 episodes this last season that we shot, which was a lot more manageable. But when we were doing 22 episodes on Fox, that's just a continual kind of thing that just keeps going on and on, like a conveyor belt, basically. And so we'll be doing a table read in our lunch break whilst we're shooting something else, and then the following week we'll probably end up starting shooting the episode we've done the table read for, and it all sort of feathers into each other, and it sounds quite manic, but once you get going, that's it. There's no stopping, because you're on a tight schedule time-wise as well. But I think working at that pace, it sort of adds a certain spontaneity and electricity to it as well. So it's a fun place to come and work, sure.
Yeah, and I suppose you're on your fourth season now of Lucifer. As you said, you did roughly 20 episodes in season 1 and season 2 when you were in Fox and all that. So as a cast, you must have become fairly tight-knit, yourself and Lord Germain, D.B. Woodside, Lesley-Ann Bryant, Rachel Harris. You've been there from season 1, and those sort of relationships a bond must have built up sort of like a family in sense. And have you any sort of good memories or good sort of stories that particularly stand out to you?
Well, I think I think one of the things that had come out of the cancellation was that we were already a tight group, but we didn't really know how popular the show was whilst we were on Fox. I sort of got a sense of it, and I sort of sensed that if Fox were to cancel the show, there'd be quite a few people who weren't happy. I just didn't realise quite how many. And neither did the cast, and it was just so kind of overwhelming, the way that people responded. It really kind of, it sort of created a humility. I mean, we're already a humble group of people, but like the humility that runs through us now, and the kind of thankfulness for being in the place doing what we love. Because I think one of the big, like you say, we all get on really well. And one of the big kind of things about being cancelled was, one of my first reactions was, oh my God, I'm not going to see my friends again. I'm not going to go and play with my colleagues again. We have so much fun, on this particular job. And so, I think that the most sort of, the big standout thing is that now the fans feel almost like shareholders in the show. And there's a kind of a unique sort of two-way conversation that happens between us and them now, and it's really quite special.
Yeah, and I suppose Lucifer has created its sort of niche sort of audience. It's different for relation to sort of TV series of the past, where you'd have those sort of the childish sort of team element to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, to Angel, to all those sort of shows. But Lucifer is more connected with a more older adult audience as well. It seems to have drawn that in. It's very sort of niche on its own. You can't sort of relate it to one or two particular shows, and that must make it more valuable, because it can garnish a bigger audience.
Well, yeah, I mean, another thing that came out of the Save Lucifer campaign was that, like, we became really aware of not only how big the audience was, but how eclectic it was. Like you say, I mean, there were kids watching it, and then there were their grandparents watching it, and then, I go meet fans and they say, oh, I watch this with my husband, or I watch this with my boyfriend, or, me and the kids watch it together. And there aren't a lot of shows that cater for such a sort of wide audience. Off the top of my head, I think of Doctor Who in the UK. It's something that families sit down and watch together, and we sort of found ourselves in that really small niche. And I think a lot of it is to do with, the fascination of the character of the devil. It brings an audience automatically. But then I think, the show has just got real heart to it as well, and it's got humour and heart, and that really sort of helps when you're trying to tell a long, quite heavy story over a long time.
Yeah, and I suppose...
but yeah, Sorry.
Yeah, I suppose, Tom, as well, in relation to the character Lucifer, I suppose when you're reading that character for the first time, you want to put your own portrayal and your own sort of stamp on the character, and the sort of, you don't want to perceived as an absolute monster in one sense, but to sort of garnish people to sort of feel a sense towards that mortal side of the character as well. And there's a sort of charming, sort of sophisticated sort of nature to the devil that you portray. Is that something that you wanted to bring from the start rather than this menacing, sort of all looming, all conquering sort of figure?
Well, I think, all I had to work with in the first instance was the pilot script. Because, you don't see a first season, you don't see any episodes after that because they're written. So I had the pilot script to go with, and I thought, what do I like about this character? And how can I make him not, sound like arrogant and how am I going to make people like him, basically? And one humour is a great tool for that. If you can make people laugh, then you can get them on your side quite quickly. And then also just a kind of like an ease and a charm and a swagger that, over the years people have like really enjoyed characters like. And it all lends itself to what I had in that first instance. And then, since the series has evolved, we've sort of started to take away those layers, those very sort of surface layers of Lucifer, and really explore who is the person underneath this facade. Is he the devil and the monster that people believe him to be, or he believes himself to be? Or is he, the angel that was an angel before he got kicked out of heaven and sent down to hell? And what was that existence like? And is he capable of love? And does he know what love is? And all these things that have been negated from his life. So it's been really interesting to sort of take where we were in the first instance, which are very surface type characters, having a lot of fun and being very cheeky. And still having that, but then seeing what else is underneath, has really kind of opened us up to a whole new world.
Yeah, and I suppose, Tom, one of the things that strikes me about the show, and which is ever present since season 1, is the unique sort of twist that you see Lucifer with his own sort of problems, and he needs the help of counselling, and it's something that's ever sort of present in the show, the one-on-one altercations between Lucifer and Rachel Harris, who plays the therapist, Dr. Linda Martin, and that sort of sense that the devil is sitting across the way from a mortal therapist, asking her for advice, asking her for opinions, trying to understand himself as a mortal. It seems awful, sort of strange, but it's something that really, really works.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was part of, what I loved was, because obviously when you're telling the story about the devil, a lot of people have done it in the past, so the new sort of spin and the new angle on it that I enjoyed was this devil having a crisis of identity, basically. And, to do something really, like, as Lucifer said, I know, so LA, but I'm in therapy. But it helps us in our storytelling as well, and it helps us with the notion that, you really get this sense that even though Lucifer appears as an adult and everything, he's very childish in his kind of his wants and his understandings and his needs, because he's so unemotionally evolved compared to the rest of our characters. He's only just started opening himself up to it. So, and he needs an explanation for everything. So, therapy for him seems to be the right way forward. But it does open our world up to some really kind of fun moments, and then some really kind of, this season especially, I'd say, some really sort of harder, more poignant moments.
Yeah, I suppose, Tom, this sort of question now I ask everyone, and I suppose it's kind of difficult, this sort of question, given the character you play, to sort of put an answer to this, but I'll try it anyway. So, Tom Ellis, if you would like to be remembered for your role as playing Lucifer, the devil, Lucifer Morningstar, in Lucifer, and that was put into a dictionary, and 2 sentences were left blank underneath, what would you like those 2 sentences to read? It's not an epitaph as such, but how would Tom Ellis like to be remembered for his portrayal as Lucifer Morningstar in Lucifer?
Oh gosh, someone who tried to bring the soul back to the devil.
That's a good answer.
And remember.
Yeah, that is a really good answer. I thought for a while that might be something that might throw you, but Tom, that's a great answer. And Tom, looking ahead for 2019, what other projects or pipelines, projects or series or pipelines have you in the works that we should be looking out for all our Irish audience for Tom Ellis in 2019?
At the moment, I'm kind of, it's been very sort of hectic this last 12 months just with Lucifer, so I've not really been doing any other projects. I'm about to get married again, so that's really been at the forefront of my focus at the moment, and then hopefully, in a few weeks' time we might know more about whether we're doing a season 5 of Lucifer. But then next year, I'm really excited about the fact that, now we are 10 episodes, I've got a lot more time to do other things, and I would love to go back on the stage, I'd love to go back to the theatre, and I'd love to start doing some film work. So, we'll see what happens.
And Tom Ellis, have you ever been to Ireland? I suppose you have been from the UK, but if you have been to Ireland, what are sorts of some of your memories or something that reminds you of Ireland from the last time you've been there?
Well, the last time I was in Ireland, I was actually in Northern Ireland. I was still out there for Russ. And I just remember it being the most glorious day. And as a man from Wales, I know that it's not always glorious, but when it is glorious in our countries, it is stunning. And I was out filming on the beaches amongst the sand dunes, and I could see across to Scotland, and I just thought, wow, this is majestic. It is as beautiful as everyone says it is.
And Tom Ellis, the last 30 seconds...
And the Guinness does taste better, that's for sure.
That's a good point. And Tom Ellis, the last 30 seconds, we leave it over to your own character, Lucifer Morningstar, and the devil himself might tell the Irish audience and our Irish listeners here on the radio why they should tune in on May the 8th to Netflix for season 4 of Lucifer. Over to Lucifer Morningstar himself.
Why should people tune in? Well, I think it's always interesting to see the most irredeemable character on a path to redemption. So just for that alone, I think the way in which we tell that story is a lot of fun, and it will affect you surprisingly.
Tom Ellis, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you on the airways as we eagerly look in great anticipation for the season 4 of Lucifer on, as we said, May the 8th, season 4 on Netflix. It's sure to be a massive hit, just as season 1, season 2 and season 3 are. We wish there's many more seasons in the pipeline for yourself, Tom, in relation to Lucifer, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavours. Take care.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks very much.
Cheers. Thank you, Tom.